About 3 weeks ago, I meandered out to the garden. Everything was growing super well. I was happy and excited because I didn't know if anything would grow this year, and we had all of this lush produce, but I realized something. Something was eating my vegetables. Now, it wasn't everything. It was just a little nibble here on the peas, a little crunch there on the Swiss chard, a few pulled up beets, but definitely not something I wanted to continue. And every day for a couple days, I would come out and there'd be a little bit more munched off. And that's when I realized that a deer was eating my garden. Now, to say I was not pleased would be an understatement, and I decided something needed to be done ASAP. But what's a girl to do? I mean, you see deer fences and they're like 6 feet tall and sturdy and mesh spacing, and I was like, I don't have time to put up something crazy like that. And so that's when I decided to just surround it with my poultry netting that I had, my Premier One electric poultry netting, and see if that would keep them out. And guess what? With a nice hot spark on that thing, it keeps deer out of the garden. Now, the problem was I needed the poultry netting for the turkeys come this week, and yesterday I moved the turkeys outside. Go ahead and watch that video. I'll put a link in the description below, but the garden was yet again uncovered, and so that's when I decided to buy more Premier One fencing. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be setting up my Premier One 48-inch PermaNet netting around the garden. Now, it's super easy, super simple to set it up, but I'm going to take you through the whole process of opening the brand new box, unrolling the brand new netting, and connecting it to our new solar Energizer. So let's get started. All right, here we have our boxes, Premier One netting. Okay, so here we have the net. So I ended up getting a PermaNet. You can see I got it in the green and black. I've never gotten in green and black before. We decided to go with the green versus the white because it's going around the garden. And so I just wanted it to have a little bit more of a blend in feel instead of a popping white. I really do like the white with livestock because of the visibility. The green, as you'll see once you put it up, it blends into the background pretty well, which is good for the garden, not so great when you want your animals to see it, respect it, and stay away from it. I still think the green will be fine for the deer because they're going to come up to it, try to get those garden goodies and get a nice sharp shock. So yeah, here we go with the PermaNet. So just going to open up this bag and I'll show you how they package it. It comes really nice and neat and organized, but you definitely want to unroll it in a specific way because, as with poultry netting, pig netting, garden netting, any type of electrified netting like this, if you follow the steps and directions, it's really, really easy to use. But if you don't, you can get yourself into a tangled mess very quickly. So let's walk through opening this up. We'll get it set up and we'll go from there. Now, one last quick note about the PermaNet. The PermaNet is different than your average poultry netting or garden netting in that it has thicker posts. It's not designed to be moved as much, so it's going to be a little harder to install and a little bit heavier. In fact, they recommend installing this with 2 people. Now, I don't think it's going to be a problem for me, but we'll see. I guess we'll go from there if I have struggle time getting it in the ground. But I think if I just treat it like a normal net, we should be fine. But the PermaNet is heavier, longer spikes, and harder to get in. Other than that, it is very similar to all of the other nets, and the installation process is going to be exactly the same. Okay, I've got the plastic off now. So we have 3 of these black threads here, and that's holding it all together. You can see here we have a clip. These are the 2 ends of the fences, or the 2 ends of the fence that are clipped together right now. And then we also have the cardboard guard. So I'm going to keep the ties on for now, but I am going to go ahead and disconnect the clip and take off the cardboard. The cardboard guard you can just throw away, but a note about these: do not throw away these cords here, because they come in useful for securing the fence together or for securing the fence to a pole or object. It also comes with a repair kit and a warning electric fence sign. Okay, so I'm walking to the garden now, and I'm just going to take a peek at the area that I want to enclose. Now, before you put up the fence, it's really important to know where you want it to go around, and also to make sure the ground is ready. So you can see around the garden, it's been mowed. You don't want to install this into really tall, lush grass or brush, because that's going to short out your fence. So just like any electric fencing, if it has a lot of resistance with high weed pressure, you're going to get less of a shock. So this is nice mowed, and we're just going to be enclosing this whole garden area. So all of this around here, and then also back towards the back garden. So I have 3 rolls of this netting, and I'm going to set up one of them first, and then we'll get the other set up and get this thing charged. Okay, so now that we're by the area that I want to enclose, I am going to go ahead and untie those black cords that are holding this together. Now, once you get all the cords untied, you can see that it's able to unravel. Now, this is where things can go south very quickly if you are not careful. So I'm going to transition it. Whoop, going south already. Try to keep it in a nice neat bundle. I'm going to transition it into my arms. Woo, like so. So now it's just sitting in my arms. But you want it to be pretty balanced so that you can take one hand off. All right, so I'm going to see which one is the top. So here is our top pole with our net, and drop it down where the first one is going to go. And then I'm just going to walk backwards and throw them down as they come. Do not throw a pole down too early, or otherwise you could end up with some tangling. All right, so I'm just going to walk around the garden and throw these down. Putting the poles in the ground is really straightforward. These have a double spike base, so you just are able to step them into the ground. So to demonstrate, and it really is as simple as that. So if your ground is hard, it can be a little bit more difficult, but then you just walk around the whole netting and you do the same thing. Now, the key is you want the base to be as tight as possible. And so you want to make sure that you pull it tight. And I like to use my foot to sort of kick the post over before I set it in the ground. That way it stays nice and taut. Okay, so here is the first strand set up. All right, gonna get the other 2 set up, and then we'll get them connected. Now that we have all of the fences up, we need to attach them together. So whenever you have two fence posts that come together like this, you are going to need to take the two tail ends and clip them together. Just slide the two plates together. And that will connect the electricity from one fence to another. You also notice I happened to connect two ends together that did not have the black rope. I can take some of the black rope cord stuff from one of the other ends because there were three, on the end, and it really only needs one. Or you can use baling twine. So that works too. Okay, I'm all done installing the electric netting. You can see it looks very nice. It goes around the whole garden. So I'm gonna get my Energizer set up now. I got a solar Energizer from Premier One, and let's unbox it. All right, I'm gonna open up the directions. All right, so I'm gonna put you down here so you can actually see my hands, but I'm gonna be opening up the unit. See these little claws? You can see inside here, we have a battery, and you can see it has a sticker. We have to remove that label and then attach that wire so that the battery's all hooked up. We're going to replace the bolts here with the included lovely knobs. There's the word, knobs. And the same thing on the other side. Now the angle that you set the solar panel at depends on what time of year it is and where you're located. So for summer in the northern hemisphere, it recommends about the 43-degree angle. So it has preset angle markers here, and that's why we put in these knobs so that we can slide it to the 43 mark, just like that. There's also these little foam things that they recommend putting inside the Energizer. So let's put those in too. And the last thing before we go outside, we're gonna hook up the wonderful little connectors to the Energizer box. Let's take it outside. We're gonna put in the ground stake. Okay, the black ground clip here is going to clip to the stake underneath here. Just like that. So that metal stake that we just put in, that's what that connects to. This red clip is going to clip to the fence. All right, here we have the setup. Now I might move the Energizer depending on where I think the best spot is with regard to the sun. Right now it's in the shade, but it has to be somewhere along this fence line, so we're going with this spot for now. Super easy, we're just gonna turn it on. There's a button down here. Woo, can you hear that clicking? I don't like to hear too much of a pop. It means something might be grounding out somewhere. So I'm just gonna walk the fence and see. All right, let's test the voltage. All right, we're getting 7,000 volts or more because that's all that the fence tester reads. So that is it. My garden is protected. Yay. Okay, so hopefully no more deer. Hopefully they won't just decide to jump because they're definitely capable of jumping that high. But if they get shocked first, I don't think they're going to be coming back anytime soon. All right, we'll see you next time.